My name is Thomas. I'm 73 years old. I'm sitting here because there's something I need to say out loud. Not because anyone asked, not because it'll change anything, but because I can't remember the sound of her laugh anymore, and that terrifies me.
Her name was Eleanor. We were married for 41 years. She died 6 years ago. Pancreatic cancer. 4 months from diagnosis to the end. People told me time would help, that the sharpness would fade, that I'd be left with the good memories. They were right about some of that. The sharpness did fade, but so did everything else. I can still see her face. I have photographs, dozens of them. I look at them often. I know what she looked like when she smiled, when she was concentrating, when she was tired, but I can't hear her anymore. I try. I close my eyes. I go back to specific moments, moments I know I heard her laugh. But there's nothing, just silence where the sound should be. It started about 2 years ago. I was watching something on television. A woman laughed, and for a second I thought, maybe that's what Eleanor sounded like. But I wasn't sure. And that's when I realized I'd lost it. The thing I thought I'd never forget. The thing I didn't even know I needed to protect. It was gone. I've tried everything. I went through old home videos. We didn't have many, just a few holidays, a couple of birthdays. I found one from our anniversary, maybe 15 years ago. She's sitting at a restaurant table. Someone says something off camera. She laughs. I must have watched that clip 100 times, and I still can't hold on to it. The moment I stop the video, it disappears again, like trying to grab water. I asked our daughter if she remembered. We were having coffee, just the two of us. I said, "Do you remember what your mother's laugh sounded like?" She looked at me for a long time. Then she said, "I think so. Why?" I told her I couldn't remember, that I was trying, but I couldn't. She said it was warm, kind of soft. She'd cover her mouth sometimes. I nodded. But that's not a sound. That's a description. I think about this all the time now, how something so central to a person can just evaporate, how you can live with someone for 40 decades, hear them laugh thousands of times, and then one day it's just gone, like it never existed. Eleanor laughed a lot. Not in a loud way, not the kind of laugh that filled a room, but she found things funny, small things, everyday things. I used to love that about her. She'd be reading something or watching people at the grocery store, and she'd just smile and then laugh quietly, almost to herself. I took it for granted. I thought it would always be there. The last time I heard her laugh, I don't even know when it was. It wasn't at the end. She was too sick by then, too tired. It was before that, months before, maybe. But I can't pinpoint it. I don't have a last moment. It just stopped, and I didn't notice. I've started thinking about all the other things I've lost. The way she said my name, the sound of her footsteps in the hallway, the rhythm of her breathing when she slept beside me. I thought I'd remember all of it. I thought grief meant holding on, but it doesn't. Grief is watching things slip away, one by one, and not being able to stop it. I still talk to her sometimes, out loud when I'm alone. I'll say something, ask her opinion, tell her about my day. But I don't know what her voice would sound like answering. I try to imagine it, but it's my voice, in my head, pretending to be hers. It's not real.
There's a moment I keep going back to. We were in the kitchen, maybe 10 years ago. She was making dinner. I said something, I don't even remember what. Something stupid, a bad joke. And she laughed. She turned around, looked at me, and laughed. I remember her face, the way her eyes crinkled, the way she shook her head like she couldn't believe I'd said it. But I don't remember the sound. I thought memories were permanent. I thought if something mattered enough, it stayed. But that's not how it works. Memory isn't a photograph. It's not fixed. It fades. It changes. It gets rewritten every time you try to access it. And eventually, there's nothing left. I read somewhere that every time you remember something, you're not actually remembering the event. You're remembering the last time you remembered it, like a copy of a copy of a copy, each one a little more degraded than the last. I wish I'd known that. I wish I'd paid more attention. I have recordings of my own voice, messages I left on answering machines, videos where I'm talking. And I hate the way I sound. But at least I have it. Eleanor didn't like being recorded. She'd wave the camera away, tell me to stop. I listened. I thought I was respecting her privacy. Now I'd give anything for just one clear recording of her voice. Just her, talking, laughing, saying anything. People don't understand when I try to explain this. They say, at least you have your memories. But that's the problem. I don't. Not the way I thought I would. Our daughter sounds like her sometimes. The cadence, the phrasing, but not the laugh. That was Eleanor's alone, and now it's gone. I wonder if this is what happens to everyone. If everyone who loses someone eventually loses their voice too, or if it's just me. If I didn't try hard enough, didn't listen closely enough when I had the chance. There are things I wish I'd done differently. I wish I'd recorded more, even if she didn't want me to. I wish I'd asked her to read something out loud, just so I'd have it. I wish I'd paid attention in those last good months, before the diagnosis, before everything changed. I wish I knew what I was about to lose. But I didn't, because you never think it's the last time. You never think you'll forget, until you do. I still celebrate her birthday. I make her favorite meal, light a candle, sit at the table, and I try to imagine what she'd say. But it's hollow, because I'm making it up. It's not her, it's me trying to keep her alive with my own voice, and it doesn't work. Sometimes I'm angry at myself for not recording more, at her for not wanting to be recorded, at time for doing this to me. But mostly, I'm just sad, because I know this is how it goes. Everything fades. No matter how much you loved someone, no matter how much you want to hold on, eventually they become a photograph, a description, a story you tell yourself, but not a presence, not anymore.
I met someone a few months ago, a woman at the library. We got to talking. She lost her husband 8 years ago. I asked her if she could still remember his voice. She thought about it. Then she shook her head. She said, "I remember what it felt like to hear it, but not the sound itself." I understood exactly what she meant. We don't talk about this part. We talk about the grief, the missing, the hole they leave behind. But we don't talk about how they disappear. Not all at once, but slowly, piece by piece, until all you're left with is the shape of where they used to be. I went to our old house last month. We moved 3 years after Eleanor died. I couldn't stay there. New people live there now. Young couple, kids. I didn't knock. I just stood on the sidewalk, and I tried to hear her, calling from the porch, asking if I'd locked the car, telling me dinner was ready. But there was nothing, just wind and traffic and other people's lives. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. I don't know if there's a way to stop it, to preserve what's left, or if this is just what happens when you outlive someone you love. You lose them twice, once when they die, and again when you can't remember them anymore. I still have her wedding ring. I keep it in a small box on my dresser. Sometimes I hold it, turn it over in my hand, and I try to remember the day I put it on her finger. I remember the church, the people, the way she looked, but I don't remember what she said. I don't remember if she laughed. I'm 73 years old. I've had a good life, a full life. I have a daughter who calls me every week, grandchildren who visit. I'm grateful for all of it, but there's this hole, this absence that keeps growing, because the person I loved most is disappearing. Not from the world, she's already gone from that, but from me, from my memory, from my mind, and I can't stop it. I don't know if anyone listening to this will understand. Maybe you've lost someone too. Maybe you know exactly what I mean. Or maybe you still have everyone. Maybe their voices are still clear. If that's you, pay attention. Not in a panicked way, not in a way that makes you afraid. Just listen. Really listen, because one day you might not be able to anymore. I wish I could end this with something hopeful, some realization that makes it okay, but I don't have that. All I have is this truth, that love doesn't protect you from loss, and memory doesn't protect you from forgetting. You lose people, and then you lose them again, and there's nothing you can do about it. I still look at her pictures. I still think about her every day, but she's becoming a story, a collection of facts, descriptions, moments I've told myself so many times they don't feel real anymore. And I hate that, but it's the truth. If you made it this far, thank you. I don't know why I needed to say all this, maybe just to name it, to admit it out loud, that I'm losing her, that I've already lost parts of her I thought I'd keep forever. Maybe you're holding on to someone too, someone's voice you're afraid to forget. I don't have answers. I just have this quiet knowing that time takes everything, even the things we thought were ours to keep.